Again, good morning. Welcome to HASP, March 3rd. You brave souls. First Tuesday of the month. It doesn't fail and the weather threatens, but we're really glad you're here. You're going to enjoy yourselves this morning. We're in for a treat, and we're going to have a program that is really very interesting and very informative. This morning, we're going to learn about leadership. And while everybody's getting settled in, I thought I would very briefly give you a few quotes from people that I really admire and tell you what they said about leaders. Dwight Eisenhower said, "Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he or she wants to do it." Jesus said in a parable, "If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch." And then there was Everett Dirksen. Many of you probably remember him, a Republican senator from Illinois. In the 50s and 60s, he was a minority leader in the Senate for quite a long time, and he grew up in the Reformed Church. Everett said, "I am a man of fixed and unbending principles, the first of which is to be flexible at all times." And author Claire A. Murray said, "The problem with being a leader is that you're never sure if you're being followed or chased." And Casey Stengel, the baseball great, said, "The key to being a good manager is keeping the people who hate me away from those who are still undecided." And of course, Groucho Marx said, "Only one man in 1,000 is a leader of men. The other 999 follow women." And Margaret Thatcher from England, "Being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are, you aren't." And finally, from Max Dupree, great fellow who knows a lot about leadership and a member of this group, "The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant." So, Terry Holden will introduce our visitors and our new members.
Good morning, everyone. Great day. We have 4 guests with us today. When I introduce you, may I please ask that you remain standing so we can welcome you all together. Delane Ramsey, Denny Ramsey, Thomas Jarvis, and Steve Johnson. Welcome to HASP, and thank you for coming. And we have one new member with us this morning, and that is Dennis Drennan, and his mentors are Barb and Dave Schmidt. And welcome to HASP, and thank you to mentors.
Thank you, Terry. Now we'll have Peter Deedy come up and introduce our speaker as a program.
Good morning, all. Another wintry day. I'm pleased to be able to present our program for today. And as background, a couple of years ago, the program committee decided that we should try and bring in a Hope College-related program roughly once a year because of our affiliation with the college. And if you recall, 2 years ago, we had the Phelps Scholar program here with their international students. Last year, we were fortunate we had Grace Tyson, a Hope College student, involved with the Songs Against Slavery, the program dealing with human sex trafficking. And today we have the Center for Faithful Leadership, which is a rather unique entrepreneurial program helping students develop both their business and Christian leadership skills. Something rather unique, and hopefully it will raise the ethical standards of our business leaders in the future as we go forward. We'll be hearing from Steve VanderVeen, the Center Director, and several students who are sitting on my left as they tell us about their program. And coincidentally, Grace Tyson, who I mentioned our speaker from last year, has been a member of the center while she's been at Hope College as well. So it gives you some idea of the caliber of students that are in the program. Interestingly, as I went over the website of the center, there are lots of unique things that I guess we'll be hearing about in such varied programs as reindeer, bees, and engagement rings. So are all part of some of the things that they are developing there in that center. So I hope you took the time to read in the HASP Bulletin about the program for today, and in particular Steve VanderVeen's impressive bio. He has a doctorate in consumer behavior from the University of Illinois. And fortunately for us, he saw the light in 2007 and came here from Calvin College to head up the center. So if you would join me in giving Steve a warm HASP welcome.
Well, good morning. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out in such a snowy day. It seems like we always have a blizzard whenever I have to present somewhere. I don't know what that means, but anyway, thanks for inviting us. I'm going to make a few comments at the beginning, and I'm going to turn it over to the people that I follow. So, leadership is followership, and I spend most of my time following and chasing actually the students. So, and that's what I really enjoy doing. A couple of things that I wanted to bring to your attention that really motivate me. I think we were all created to work and to do good works, and part of that is really understanding who we are and what gifts God gave us and finding our passion. And I think that's what college is about and what college should be about. About a year or so ago, Gallup did a large survey with the University of Purdue and another party, and they polled 30,000 college alums, and they were trying to make the connection between well-being in life, well-being in its holistic sense, engagement at work, and what happens in college. And what they found was that the odds of thriving in all areas of well-being are 4.6 times higher if we're engaged at work. So being engaged at work, meaning working at some place that's meaningful and with purpose, correlates very highly with flourishing in life. And so they asked, well, what determines whether you are engaged at work? And here's some stats here. The odds of being engaged at work are 2.6 times higher if college prepared students well for life outside of college. 2.4 times higher if the institution was passionate about the long-term success of its students. 2.2 times higher if students had mentors who encouraged them to pursue their goals and dreams. 2 times higher if at least one professor made them excited about learning. 1.9% higher if professors cared about students as people. 1.8% times higher if students worked on a project that took a semester or more to complete. Well, this was something that I learned about last summer, and it was just about the time that Reindeer Cam, which is one of our student ventures, became sort of internationally known, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And so that was very affirming, because what we're trying to do at the Center for Faithful Leadership is help students discover their gifts and their calling, and we want to do that through experiential learning. And the two areas that we do that in at the center are, we have a consulting program. It's a co-curricular program. We hire the best students we can from all different disciplines on campus, put them in small teams with a practitioner, and they go out and do work for local organizations. And right now we have 30-some students on our payroll, working 5 to 10 hours a week on projects. And what's really, really fun this year is that some of those projects are working with some of the students who have launched ventures. So Peter mentioned Songs Against Slavery. We have a student who's working as a digital marketing intern for Grace Tyson at Songs Against Slavery, and we hope to do a consulting project for them. We have an intern working for Reindeer Cam, which I'll describe in a minute, as a digital marketing intern. And we have another student who's Also an entrepreneur on his own, Mark Boersma, who you'll hear from this morning, who's doing sales for Ring Cam. So every time he makes a big sale, I hear about it, either from Mark or from the Ring Cam students who are now Hope College alum. And obviously that's a thrill for them and a thrill for me. So we also have Margot Apostolaris, who's an entrepreneur on her own, but she's also working as a digital marketing intern for Tizzy, who you're going to hear about in a few minutes. So when the consulting side helps the entrepreneurship side, when the consulting side helps the incubator side, that's a great thrill for me when we're helping students. But anyway, so we have this consulting program working with organizations all over the community, big ones, small ones, from Herman Miller and Spectrum Health down to nonprofit organizations, I shouldn't say down to, but also to nonprofit organizations, Holland Rescue Mission, Ditto, and some of those organizations. That's the one program we have. The other one is the incubator, the CFL incubator, and that's what we're going to hear. We're going to learn about some of the projects in the incubator today. The incubator works the same way. Students take an entrepreneurship class, which helps them understand what a startup process is and helps them determine whether that's something they want to pursue. Helps us also see whether that's something they want to pursue and they're passionate about. And if they are, we offer them the opportunity to work as an employee part-time on their own idea. So that's how we support students outside of class on their own idea. So we have about 12 students now that we are supporting part-time. They're working 5 to 10 hours a week on their own idea. So consulting, they're working part-time, 30 students on projects for other organizations, and 12 students are working part-time on their own idea. And we have them meet with practitioners on a regular basis and coaches. And so getting back to the Gallup study, students are working on projects for for a significant amount of time, more than a semester. They are working with practitioners who coach and mentor them. And I think that's the magic that makes it work. And so today we're just going to celebrate some of the evidence on the incubator side. So I am going to fill in here for a second on Ring Cam. I'm going to start with Ring Cam. And you probably, I don't know if you, let me ask, how many of you have heard of Ring Cam? Okay, not? Okay. So for those of you who have not heard about Ring Cam was created by some engineering students at Hope College. It is an engagement box with a camera in it. So they discovered that there's a problem when guys propose to gals. They want to capture that moment, right? They want to capture the expression on the girl's face. But it's very hard to do that. You can hire a photographer, and they can hide in the bushes. But that doesn't work very well. So they came up with this idea, and I should back up and say as well, the engagement, weddings are a huge thing. You know, when I got married, my wife and I, I'm getting in trouble here, 34 years ago, we got married, and our reception was in the church basement. We had ham on buns, right? That's what it was. It cost $400. All right? Today, weddings cost, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, what's also happening is the proposal is becoming an industry. The planning a proposal itself is becoming an industry. And getting somebody to capture that moment is becoming a business. And so these guys came up with this idea of putting a camera in a ring box, so that when you're on your knees proposing, you open that box, and the ring with the ring in it, you're recording the expression on the girl's face. Right? So they graduated last year, and they are almost more or less postponing their careers, because this thing is they think it has a chance of scaling and becoming a big, a startup which could support them. So that's what they're working on. Now, what most people don't know is that before Ring Cam, the guys that worked on this project started with something called the Vital Sleep Band. And the Vital Sleep Band was based on this idea that when you go to the hospital, you can't, and you're staying in the hospital, you can't sleep. It's impossible to sleep because people are always poking and prodding you, and there's discussions in the hallway and on and on. So they thought, well, and one of the students had been in the hospital, so they thought, well, let's create headphones, like headphone-like devices, and then something along the front which will be tied via Bluetooth to a monitor so that so that nurses can monitor your vital signs without waking you up, and you'll have these sound deadening things on your ears so that you'll not hear anything. And they worked on this for a couple of years, and if you don't know, it's extremely difficult to get FDA approval on medical devices, and that kind of stalled the whole thing. Well, they had another idea, and that was snow. Nobody likes snow, and nobody likes shoveling their driveway. So they came up with this autonomous snowplow idea, this robotic snowplow, and they ran with that for a while. And they had a prototype built, and you could run it with a remote control, and they could put a plow on it, and it would actually plow snow. But that was a little bit different. There's a lot of these things out there, and so they didn't think that was had a lot of potential. So then they got involved with this Ring Cam idea, and this thing has been taken off. So my point is simply that these students are leaders. They're changing the world. They're changing the way we do things. But in order to do that, they are incredibly persistent. They're incredibly courageous. They're incredibly innovative, and they don't stop trying. So most of these students you're going to hear from today have been doing what they're doing now, but this is not the first thing they've done, right? So what gets me excited is that some of these students didn't realize that they had this entrepreneurial disease, maybe, I don't know what to call it, in them, and the experience has shown them that, yeah, this is something I really enjoy doing, I'm passionate about, I'm good at doing, and so then we try to support them and end up following and chasing them as a way to keep them going forward. So I will now turn it over to Mark, who is now currently interning at Ring Cam. He can say a few things about it, and he can say a few things about his own business. Oh, let me give you this. Is that going to work? Is that fine?
Yes.
Or do you want this one?
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
All right. As he said, I'm Mark Boersma. I'm a sophomore at Hope College, and I'll start out with Ring Cam stuff. I started out as an intern a couple months ago at Ring Cam. Really enjoyed it. Just doing a lot of different stuff for them. I did photo shoots of people proposing. I constructed ring cams. I did a lot of different stuff, and I really enjoyed reaching out to customers and reaching out to jewelry stores, just getting them interested in ring cams, seeing if I can get a dealership model going with some stores. And so they eventually offered me a job there as kind of the sales guy. And I've really, really enjoyed that. It's been a huge learning experience. I'd like to go into sales someday. And so that's kind of my role at Ring Cam right now. I work there 3 days a week, and the guys are great, and the guy that was supposed to be here is not here yet. But no, he's a really good guy, and they, it's very relaxed environment. They work out of their house, and it's kind of interesting how we'll go to shows and we'll talk to people about Ring Cam, and they'll say, if I would have thought of that, I would have made millions. And we're sitting here like, really? Tell us how to do that. Because we had the idea, and it's taken off and it's gotten very successful. But it proves that the idea isn't everything. You need to have drive. You need to have the resources like Steve provides us. to really be able to be successful in a startup. And so now onto my startup, Boat Boys. So as I said, I'm a sophomore, business management major, organizational leadership minor. I'm interested in sales and entrepreneurship. And this whole idea kind of started with me working at a marina. I've been the assistant manager at a marina for 3 years now. And whenever I walked around the docks asking people if I could help them with anything, they said, well, you could clean my boat for me. And I can't do that because I'm on shift and I've got other responsibilities, but it was so interesting that no one had provided the need that these boaters wanted someone to clean their boat. And so when I came into Hope College this year, I entered into an entrepreneurship class, and Steve said, well, you got to pick a project, pick an idea, and you just run with it and see if it works out. And to be honest, it kind of started, this boat washing company is probably my easiest idea. It'll be the idea I'll have, the easiest time starting. So I decided to go with that. Not very serious about actually starting it, but interested in seeing, where it takes me. And so then it got to the idea in the investor pitch, where you go in front of a board of investors, and if they like your idea, they give you money to start it. And I ended up, winning both of those pitches that I went into, and I'm like, you know what, this could actually be something. Got a little more motivated. And then Steve offered me the HEI award, where you can get paid, like he said, to work on your business idea for a semester, however long it takes to start it. And I started considering it more and more. I got a little more passionate, got a little more drive, and Steve just kept pushing me like, hey, you should do this. I'm offering this to you. So then I knew I couldn't do it alone, and so I went to a couple of my good friends, and originally I just wanted to pitch them the idea of Boat Boys, and not ask for their help, but just see what they thought about it. And I went to one of my friends, and he goes, dude, let's do it. No, I'm all for it. And I hadn't even asked him if he wanted to do it with me yet. And he's like, yeah, totally, I'll do it with you. And so I was like, I guess we're doing it. And I got super excited about that. So what it is, it's, like I said, in-slip boat washing. So we go to the customer's slip that is at the marina, and we wash and wax the exterior along with polish the rub rails and the cleats. And then we do interior cleaning, which is the vinyl of the seats, protecting them, cleaning them, and then we also clean the windows. So very basic boat washing, but it's, from the customer interviews I've conducted, it's exactly what the boaters want. And so just kind of a recap of what I've learned. I really liked sales when I went into the investor pitch and the idea pitch. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in a class, being able to support your idea and try to get people to be passionate about it. And the second thing I've learned is business is very hard work. When I first went into this, I didn't really think it would have that much of a time commitment, and I'd be able to just get things done. And it's you really understand how little you know about something once you get into it. And so Steve and the Reindeer Cam guys have really been helping me with operations agreements and LLCs and all these documents that I had no clue that how to word them or how to submit them. So it's very hard work, and then you can't do it alone. My two friends that I recruited to help me with this have been a huge help, and I wouldn't be able to get this thing ready by summer without them. And the last thing I learned is that Hope is a perfect fit. Steve has provided us with so many resources and so many great people to help us see our ideas turn into real businesses. And so definitely Hope was a great choice for what I'm passionate about. So that's Boat Boys, and that's kind of my story. Is there any questions? Okay, we'll do questions later. So Jessica Granger is up next with McCall.
Hi, I'm Jessica Granger, and
I'm McCall Smith.
I'm a sophomore at Hope, and McCall is a senior, and we are Team Tizzy. So Tizzy is an app that you can download on your iPhone, and I don't know how many of you guys are into the whole like iPhone thing, but it's quite big with just like social media. Maybe you have Facebook or Instagram. And we found that people love asking their friends for opinions online, like which dress should I get for prom, or what movie should I go to? And people would try to post that on Facebook, and it got a little messy. And so we made what we call a social polling app, where you can post 2 photos side by side, and your friends can vote and give you feedback.
So, to get this started, Jess was a freshman last year and I was a junior. And we both have done some entrepreneurship ventures along the way. And she heard about the entrepreneurship program at Hope and heard that I was in it. And so we went to Lamangelo's to get coffee to talk about the entrepreneurship program. And sure enough, you get 2 entrepreneurs together and you come up with an idea. So we ended up seeing the problem of people having indecision and not having a clear way to solve that. So we went ahead and spent the past year and a half pursuing this idea.
Yeah, okay. So part of the whole HEI, Hope Entrepreneurship Initiative, there's a thing called Startup Academy that is still running, but last year, I think Steve was trying to weed out those who weren't super intense, and we would meet 6 a.m. on Tuesdays, which for college students is quite the feat. And so this was the crew in the mornings, and it was kind of like I don't want to say like support group, but it was like we would come and talk about our idea, and then people would just ask you super tough questions, and then you'd be like, oh, I should look into that, or oh, that's a good point. And so we would all just feed off of one another and inspire one another. Development began.
So to get an app started, you either need a lot of knowledge on how to write code, and there's all these different languages, and that was something neither of us knew. So we had a big hurdle in front of ourselves, so we actually went shopping for developers. And we looked around and we talked to a couple different companies about what would it take to make the app that we want. And we found ourselves looking at $20,000 just for the bare bones of this app. And we're like, man, we're in. If we're gonna make this app, we're gonna have to be all in. So we raised some fundings, and we went about this through different pitch competitions, and investor pitch, like Mark was talking about, as well as the MWest Challenge, which was a business plan competition in Grand Rapids with a bunch of different colleges. And so through these different competitions, we found ourselves very encouraged with our business ideas. So we went ahead and went to Start Garden and put some of our own money into it. And yeah, so that's us at a pitch competition. Actually winning our first prize. And so after we raised our funds, we got our beta version of Tizzy. And
and beta means like the very beginning, like what Steve taught us. It's called the MVP, minimal viable product. Sorry, nervous. But basically, it's the bare bones of your grand idea with one little thing that makes it unique. And so, as you can see, if you go back, these are like the 2 photos that someone can post to decide between, like, oh, what do you guys want to do this Friday? Hammock or go to the beach? Hammocking like all the rage now, I hope. And so then people can swipe between the 2 photos and vote, and then a percentage comes up. And then, okay, so as Mark was talking about the whole LLC lawyer thing, that was really, really interesting and exciting to go to Grand Rapids and go to Varnum Law and like learn about what an operating agreement was and forming an LLC, which we named Pine Grove Ventures after our dear Pine Grove. So. Oh, and then just perks of working in Grand Rapids. We love it.
Yeah. So, just real quick, this past summer, there was an entrepreneurship incubator where Steve created a fund and a grant for students to pursue their business idea full-time over the summer. And this is just a picture at the end of that summer, but I just want to attest to how important and how crucial that was for Tizzy to be able to take a break from a full-time job of being at school and trying to have a social life and playing a sport or being part of Young Life and spending a summer where you just get to pursue something you're passionate about really fed the entrepreneurship bug that I had. So there's Start Garden. This was a launch party we had when the app actually was on the Apple iOS store. And so do you want to talk about some of the design and advertisement? Or wrap it up? Okay. So
That's our intern, our lovely intern.
yeah, so that's Margot right there. Yeah, so we've learned a lot while we've pursued Tizzy. So I'm a senior and I'm looking at jobs to be able to sustain myself once I graduate. But I feel like every interview I go into, this is what they ask about. It's what wows people, and it's what makes me stand out, whether that's true. But yeah, I've just been able to say, like, I've talked to businesses. I know how to I know how to sell. I know how to pitch. I'm confident talking in front of people. And I think that says a lot, and that's not something that every college student gets. So
Yeah, we'll wrap it up, but thank you.
Our next presenter is Margot, and then after him it's going to be Matt. And I just want to say quickly, McCall and Jessica mentioned we have a summer entrepreneurship program, but actually we don't anymore. We've wrapped it into a full-year program, so we can support students all year round, part-time as opposed to full-time for a few weeks. But really exciting news this year is that Yale has a summer program called the Yale Entrepreneurship Institute, and we have an alum there named John Soderstrom, who's one of the people that run the program, or he doesn't run the program, he supervises the person that runs the program. But this year, Margot and Matt Gyra are going to be spending 8 weeks, at Yale in their program this summer, full time. So super excited about that. Hey, if we can't do it, it's even better if we can send students to places like Yale that do it even better than we've done it. So that's really, really exciting for us for that to happen. So anyway, here's Margot.
How do I do this? Sorry, escape.
Try that one. Yeah.
There.
Okay, let's see here.
Okay. Hi, I'm Margot Pastelaris, and I'm a sophomore here at Hope College. I first got involved with the Center for Faithful Leadership through an entrepreneurship class, and at this point I was interested in medicine and thought I was going to go pre-med. I also had an interest in business as well, and I got put into this class, and there was a project that we had where we teamed up with engineers at Hope, and we created a business plan for a medical device for Spectrum Innovations. And when I realized that I could do both business and medicine, I was like in shock. So this Center for Faithful Leadership has really helped me find my passion and allowed me to discover myself in the process. So, in this class, we also had our own ideas, and my idea was PT Pro. It's a physical therapy app, and the co-founder of PT Pro, Kara Johnson, she is a senior and just graduated last semester, and she's currently in England studying sports management, so she couldn't be here today. But we both tore ACLs, and she played for the soccer team at Hope, and I was a manager for the soccer team. I actually tore my ACL the last day of high school, so it was kind of a bummer, and I didn't really rehab my knee to the best ability, so I decided not to continue to pursue that. But then we came up with the idea to create a physical therapy app that would help long-term rehabilitation by allowing patients to track and see videos of how to do exercises properly. Because generally when you have physical therapy, you have exercises like daily every week for anywhere between 6 and 8 months. So it's a really long process, and we wanted to find something that could make it easier. So PT Pro is a web-based app that could be viewed from a laptop, an iPad, or an iPhone, and it allows patients and physical therapists to communicate, set goals, and watch videos of exercises. A lot of the time, physical therapists don't give their phone numbers out to their patients, so when you have questions and you're at home, like after a surgery, you can't really communicate with them. So this app would allow easy communication between them. And also, you can just kind of see a history of your progress during that process. So we came up with a prototype. It doesn't fully work yet, but this is something what it could look like. I don't know if you guys know of the Nike training app. It's kind of based on that, except instead of just working out, it's specifically towards physical therapists and their patients. The physical therapist can easily input just the programs like weekly, and it kind of holds the patient accountable to do their exercises. So besides PT Pro, I just finished up a digital marketing internship program for Tizzy last week. The CFL has allowed me to have so many opportunities that just help me learn more about business and help me become a more well-rounded person. I'm super excited to be working with Tizzy. They're a great group of people working for that team, and I've been doing marketing just on Twitter, Instagram. I learned how to do Facebook ads, and also Tizzy just had a new update that came out today, so if you have iPhones, you should definitely look for that. This current April, I'm going to participate in MWest Challenge for PT Pro. I'm excited for that and hopefully gain some funding and just learn more about how to continue my startup there. And then I'm super excited to go to the Yale Entrepreneurial Institute this summer for 8 weeks. It's an amazing opportunity, and I'm just so excited to be able to work on my idea and spend a whole summer on something I'm passionate about. So I just want to say thank you to Steve for all of the great opportunities and everyone else in the CFL. And yeah, thank you.
Hi, whoops, that's really loud. So I'm Matt Gara. I'm a chemistry major here at Junior. So I guess my whole story has been kind of like a story of accidents and blessings, all kind of into one. So I guess I'll start out where I started. When I came to Hope, I was debating either being an engineering or chemistry major. And one of those classes I took was Intro to Engineering. And in that class, you build a speaker, like a homemade speaker out of, like cardboard plates and everything. And over Christmas break, I was playing with that project and kind of like stumbled upon this idea that like speakers and everything they don't blend with like home decor or anything like that. They're like a sore spot that no one wants to acknowledge. So after like whole semester of just going through like really weird ideas, like creating, like cutting wood, like random pieces of wood, building speakers into them, and then modifying Michael's boxes to make speakers out of them, and magically we sold a few on Etsy. We ran into mason jars accidentally, and as like a joke, we made a mason jar speaker, brought it to these guys, and like everyone just fell in love with them. Like, still don't understand the love with mason jars all completely, but they've been a huge hit. And with that, I got to spend part of last summer working on these, and really it's been like a crazy journey. We've developed it all the way into now, and just last month we were contacted by British Vogue magazine to feature them early this summer, and actually this summer too we'll be going to a Bluetooth version of them, besides the little aux cord they have right now. And then at the end of the year, we were named one of the top 12 most innovative stories of 2014 by Entrepreneurship. So it's been like just a crazy story that we didn't expect. And then working with this summer, as entrepreneurship, like Dr. VanderVeen kind of mentioned, entrepreneurship really is a disease and it's contagious. I pretty much infected my entire friend group. And with that, we created Fathom, which is an underwater drone. It's kind of hard to see from here, but this is like a half-size version, so the actual version is like twice the size and about a football size. So yeah, one of the guys in my house that I lived with this summer came up with the idea after pitching just hundreds of ideas. Like every night, I'd come home at like 10 o'clock and just pitch idea after another, and like quite honestly, they were really, really bad. Now we joke about it, how bad his ideas were, but at the time, yeah. Now and then, like a week after we all left, he came up with this, and it's been like a crazy story in general too. We started it in September, went to Accelerate Michigan in November, and was a finalist over there. And we got just like raving reviews and everything, and everyone just like loved it. It was just crazy. So we did that, and then just like progressing, we won one of the Hope pitches, and that's been really able to let us develop it off of just really little money, which has been great. And actually in 2 weeks, we're optimistic that we'll be testing it in the water, which is really, really cool. It's an underwater drone, so basically it's a submarine that you can drive around with your iPhone, or any phone. Kind of so you can explore, it'll have a camera on the top, so it's upside down. So it'll be like this, and then so there's a camera up in this top part, and then the water flows through here, and then on this top piece is a cord to connect to your phone. And the cool thing about Fathom that's really different from everyone else is that it moves like a fish. So like most like underwater drones, they look really bulky and boxy. They move like this and side to side and everything. While Fathom's gonna move like this and kind of like this, the way the back end kind of moves. It's hard to see because it's covered here. But yeah. And then the nice thing too about being at Hope is that we've been able to 3D print everything. So like everything on this model is 3D printed, and we have a full-size model that's been 3D printed as well. So that's been really, really great because I know we spent a lot of money on plastic. The what? The current range we're thinking is like about 100 meters, so pretty much like just normal dive depth, I guess. Scuba diving, like legal certified. So you'll be able to capture most of Lake Michigan that you want to see, and yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how I'm going to follow up with the drone you control with your phone, but I'm going to do my best. Yeah. Perfect. From beginning. Thank you. Hi, I'm Evelyn Ritter. I'm a mechanical engineering major and environmental science minor here at Hope, and I'm a senior. I first got involved with CFL through the summer incubator program last summer. And after interning at Herman Miller, actually in the sustainability department, I kind of was looking around at the chairs that are available on the market, especially office furniture, and realized that there are very few that are truly sustainable. Many of them are recyclable, but the problem is you have to take them all apart and then separate the pieces and put them each in their specific recycling areas. And that's just not feasible when you have a room like this of hundreds of chairs that they want to dispose of. They're just going to throw them away or give them to someone like Padnos, who's just going to grind them up and only save the steel and just throw away the rest of the parts. So I wanted to make a modular chair that could have the foam and fabric replaced and reuse the rest of the chair, because that has a much longer lifespan than that foam and fabric. And so I got started working on my project. I was trying to do the design and engineering and the business plan all at the same time. And I found myself really drawn to the business plan and really like shying away from trying to do the very detailed engineering design. And that kind of scared me. I was a junior year engineering student, and there was no way I was going to have time to change my major. But then I started asking around, and I realized that there were a ton of opportunities where the business and the technical skills that I had could intersect. And one of the things I did with this chair project is I pitched it to my senior design class, which is our engineering capstone, and now me and a team are working on designing that. And I realize that I am a lot more drawn to that design when I get to work as part of a team, and then I'm also helping them a lot with the business plan. So here you can see our chair plan. Obviously, this is a CAD model, so it doesn't have as much detail as like a full rendering, but you can see where we're going with that. So as part of because I had this entrepreneurship training, I was selected as the lead entrepreneur for an NSF grant application. And I was approached by Dr. Graham Peasley. I had worked with him my freshman year doing some research, and he had discovered a technology that can test for a chemical called PFC, perfluorinated compounds. And so these PFCs are toxic and are frequently used in different consumer products at different levels. And so we're still trying to figure out what consumer products they are in, and that's a really growing field, is testing for these products. Well, his test that he came up with is 1/10 the cost of the currently available test, and so he recognized the commercial potential of that. And in order to capitalize on that commercial potential, we needed some startup funding. So me and Dr. Peasley went to the NSF, and we actually obtained an NSF I-Corps grant. And so that program will start in April, and I will be first taking a class with the NSF to develop my entrepreneurship skills. I think the reason I was selected for that position was because I had this startup entrepreneurship training. They also used the same lean startup model that Steve teaches in his classes. So we were a really good candidate because we already had some of that experience. And then as soon as I graduate, I will be diving into turning this test and testing into a full-blown business. So, and none of this would have happened if it wasn't for the CFL. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we're ready for questions, and I'll bring the group up here, and they're obviously way more interesting than I am. But as I was saying earlier, leadership, I think, I've learned, is followership, and it's finding people and discovering their gifts and trying to support them. And I've been chasing people like this around. It's really kept me young. I'm really 95 years old, in case you wondered. It's been a great joy. So let's just see if you have any questions for them.
One comment quickly is, it looks like we are in wonderful hands for the future. So just a collective thanks before people start leaving. Okay. Questions?
I'm guessing that in several years gone by, similar students have gone on to some unusually favorable projects with results. Can you name one or two, just by chance, of recent years that now are known products out on the market?
Well, we are very, very young, right, as a program. So we've been doing this I think we've been doing it for 5 years, but we've really started finding our way maybe 2 years ago. So Peter mentioned ReindeerCam.com. That was one of the first. ReindeerCam.com is still out there. It's a program. It's a app, has an app, but it's also a website, and it allows you to watch reindeer. And it's a very big around Christmas time, obviously. So you can buy the app. You can watch reindeer on your phone, and Santa will come out and feed the reindeer. And you can. There's a naughty and nice list that's scrolling, and you can pay $10 to be on the nice list. Yeah, so it's probably 4 years old, and it's out every Christmas. And like Ring Cam, it just took off because the media picked up on it. So they had 4 years ago, they got picked up by CNN and Regis and Kathy Lee and I don't know who all, and they had 1 million hits in like a week and blew their system up. They couldn't handle the traffic. But it's gone on, and then but it's still going. Ring Cam is the one that's I don't know if I want to say, or if I even know how many units they're up to now. But that's the one that's actually was born in the incubator and is growing at a pace that I think it's going to be. Hopefully, I think it's going to be a sustainable business. But the people that have been in the program have gone on to do other things. One of the people at RingCam, Sam Zoe, is also working in the startup area at Mott Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor. So because of this experience, so that's also what happens. They get the experience, and they may not do something on their own now, but they also get connections to do things other places. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Thank you for sharing your ideas with us. It was great. At what point are patents applied for with these great ideas?
I think that would vary greatly on the idea and what you plan to do with it and how large you're going to take it. So, for example, my 2 projects are pretty much the opposite scale of that. Our test for the PFCs, we've already have the patent applied for 2 different ways to do that testing. But for the chair, we are not going for a patent until we want to pitch a business on it. And then we'll just file that patent right away, because if you say they don't know whether you patented it yesterday or 3 months ago. So that's how it usually works for most people.
Yeah, to kind of go off that, it kind of depends where you are and like how, I guess, easy it is to copy your business too. Because the kind of the bad part about patents is that you need money to back them up. Like if you have it, you just can't be like, oh, I'm gonna go after Sony because they're taking my idea. That's kind of the downside of patents. But like right now, Fathom isn't patented right now. But like at the same time, we don't really have like everything out online and like out there open. It's really closed down into our group. So that's one way we're kind of keeping it secret. And I think the jam jars, unfortunately, aren't patentable, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott, by the way. Sorry about being late. I was having car trouble this morning, but to be honest with you, punctuality has never been a strong suit. In terms of my product, I was also an engineering student at Hope. I went to Hope from 2009 to 2013. And for my senior design project, myself and Elliot Barney, we worked on the Ring Cam. We were approached by Sam Zoe, as Steve was talking about earlier, decided to turn into a company, and have really been developing it past few years, and then went to market about 6 months ago. It's been extremely successful to us. and it's been a great experience so far. But in terms of patents, we had a unique idea, something that hasn't been done before, so a patent was very necessary for us. And what we did was we applied for Start Garden and won the $5,000 grant. And almost all of that, I'm pretty sure the entirety of it, went to legal fees to get that patent going through a lawyer, a patent attorney, and that's, I guess, how we got started with the patent, but yeah.
Yeah. This may help summarize your question. So if it looks like it's patentable, then they usually take a provisional patent, and then they have a year to file the full patent. And in that year, they do a lot more market validation and decide whether it's worth pursuing. So, yeah.
Any other questions? No. Here. You got anything?
I'm encouraged by the opportunity you have at Hope, but other than 6 a.m. meetings, how do you self-select who goes into your program, and what is the demand going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. The classes that we teach that are prereqs to the programs are very they're experientially based. So their students are working on real projects. If it's the entrepreneurship class, they're working on their own idea. And if it's we have a consulting class where they're working on a project for a nonprofit. And it becomes fairly clear after a couple of months whether the students have a passion for this and whether they enjoy doing it and whether they're really good at it. And that's really what we want to see. So part of it is to teach a class, to teach them something, some content knowledge, but really but more and more it's providing the experience to help them understand what's involved and whether they have the interest and gifts in it. And actually from that, it's actually fairly easy to figure out who to approach and talk to about continuing. So that's actually been the easy part. I think the difficult part is actually getting students into those classes. Hope's a great school. It's an incredible school, but it's not known as an entrepreneurship. It's not known as an entrepreneurial school, and I think that's the biggest hurdle. So, but things are changing. I mean, I met Jessica when she was in high school, and look what she's done in 2 years. I mean, she found something that she's really passionate about, and she's done incredible things. But she found it before she came to Hope because this is something that she wanted to do. So, I think the more that we do, and the longer we do it, and the more we the more we get incredible students like this, the word gets out, and people start looking to us and say, look, you know what, I want to do what they're doing, and Hope's the place to do it. We have a very small entrepreneurship program. We don't have a major or minor, but people in Grand Rapids, Start Garden, for instance, have told us that we have probably one of the best programs because of the way that we do it, which is co-curricular with the coaching and the mentoring and the support, the financial support and all that kind of stuff. But getting the word out on that is hard. I mean, reputations take years to build. So I think that's the biggest challenge right now.
Last question. Is Faithful Leadership involved in other student activities other than those wanting to go into business?
Well, we, back to the mission, which is to help students understand their gifts and calling. So we try to get them working on projects, and they're for-profit businesses, they're for nonprofit businesses. And I guess my argument is that whatever you're interested in, you're going to be working for an organization, and the organization has to make money or manage cash. So I think we're all involved in a business one way or another. Are those the only two things that we're involved in right now? But we do support a number of students in other programs. So for instance, We have 4 courses that we offer, and a lot of students, one of them is required by the Emmaus Scholars Program, which is a lot of students interested in pursuing their faith and trying to apply their faith. We have a number of students in our courses that are ministry minors. So they're looking at working at a nonprofit or faith-based organization or a church. So we're serving them, and we draw students from the humanities, from the engineering, from business, from art, and they're really all looking for a way to find a practical way to use what gifts they have. And I guess maybe I'll leave you with one model. So if we can find the intersection between what students love to do and what they could be really good at doing and what they're passionate about doing, and something that'll feed their resource engine. So if you can match passion, skill, and economics and find the intersection of those 3 things, I think we've done something for them. And that's really what we're trying to do. So it sounds like we're only interested in business, but I think if you think more broadly, if students can't come out of Hope College and don't have a way to provide for themselves economically, we fail them. So that's what we're trying to do.
Well, thank you very much, all of you. Wonder what all of us would have become if such an opportunity had been available at the time we were students. But anyway, thanks again. We'll look forward to seeing you on a nice, warm April day. So